Welcome back to Up Front. Water is making news around the country right now. We've heard about the problems with tainted water in Flint, Michigan, and Waukesha's request to divert water from Lake Michigan. But there's another emerging water story that probably most of us don't know much about. State lawmakers in Wisconsin are considering a plan that would make it easier to sell public water systems to out-of-state private companies. A bill to do just that passed out of the Senate Public Works Committee last week. Environmental groups are opposed to it, and we're talking more about this now with Kimberly Wright, who is the executive director of Midwest Environmental Advocates. Welcome back to the show. What concerns you about this legislation?
Well, first of all, what's the hurry? And citizens don't know much about it. So the current law allows the sale of public water systems if that's something a community chooses, but citizens have an automatic referendum and information from the Public Service Commission on both the costs and conditions of sale have to be part of that referendum so citizens can make an informed choice. So the bill gives a really uphill climb for citizens. So 25% of the voters have to sign a petition to earn a referendum, and then there's no requirement that they have the information on the cost and the conditions of sale prior to voting. So those are my biggest concerns, is that these are owned by all of us. These are publicly owned drinking water resources, and I don't understand why the public hasn't been part of the conversation.
Is it your sense that there's a demand for these private operators of these systems?
From everything I've heard, there was no one requesting this, communities not requesting this. The only driver seems to be the organization called Aqua America, and all of the bill sponsors have received money from that corporation.
In some parts of the country, they are turning towards these private operators, in part because of the fact that many communities may not have a lot of money available to them, and they may have, for instance, decaying infrastructure. Are those good reasons to look at private operators for systems?
They might be for some communities, but from my understanding, the typical scenario is costs go way up and quality goes down because there's no longer accountability. You can't call your alder, you can't call your mayor. North Carolina has a fairly parallel situation to Wisconsin's, and people there are paying as much as $425 a month for water that they can't drink. And they have nowhere to go to complain. So they complain to the company and don't really get a response. You know, we do have federal programs, loan programs for communities that are, amortized out revolving loan programs for building infrastructure. I certainly think our nation needs to invest in our water infrastructure. We hear all the time, yet another system is failing. But I strongly believe that we can't have clean water without effective government, with experienced men and women with the skills to actually keep the public safe. It's concerning to me.
Yeah, obviously. And let's talk about the water quality issue for a moment, because some of the people who are sponsoring this legislation say, the state would still regulate water quality, so people shouldn't be concerned that somehow the quality is going to be greatly diminished should a private operator take over.
In my work, I do a lot of work on water regulations that should be taken care of by the State Department of Natural Resources. Although we have very good men and women in the agency, their budget has been cut severely. Science staff have been targeted for cuts. And the folks that are there, their autonomy for professional science-based decision-making has been really influenced by special interests. So I don't think we could make that case in Wisconsin right now. We have a long way to go to having a DNR with the capacity to actually, have meaningful oversight.
I want to talk to you about the speed of this process, and you touched on that in your first answer, but had you any idea that this legislation was coming, and how soon do you think this is going to be done? Is it going to be done in the current legislative session?
Well, it has passed the Assembly,
Right.
It's passed the Senate committee, so it'll go up for a vote in the Senate next. I heard about it because I have a Google alert on legislation. I don't do a lot of lobbying, so I, by accident, saw drinking water, and I looked into the bill. The conservation groups and citizen groups that do work in the Capitol, no one had a clue about this bill. It really did come out of nowhere for citizens.
And let me ask one more question about who's backing it. I see the League of Municipalities in Wisconsin is backing it. Does that give this sort of legislation extra credibility that a group like the League would be behind it?
You know, I don't know what kind of vote that organization takes or what kind of support they need to take a position. So, I don't know what that represents.
And at this point, what is your hope that your group can do and others who oppose this legislation can do?
Well, what's happening right now is people from faith communities and environmental organizations and hunting and fishing groups are trying to get the word out so that they can contact their senators and let them know what they think about the bill, because people have a right to know something as important as our private or public drinking water systems. We just have a right to be part of the conversation.
Kimberly Wright is the Executive Director of Midwest Environmental Advocates. It's good to have you back on the program.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Coming up next, what happens inside the Iowa caucuses? And remember, you can keep the conversation going throughout the week by following me at Mike Gousha on Twitter.